But let's get started. Hi everyone, this is my very first YouTube video and I am the Roaring Rar. I thought I would maybe start off the channel with something pretty basic, but something whoever wants to try and draw anatomy would love to learn at some point. So we're starting with hands. Hands is by no means anything easy, but it's not the most difficult thing to learn either. Really what becomes difficult is the complexity of the hand pose that you're doing. I'm nowhere near an expert on anything like this, but I thought I would share what I do know and you can see my process. Whether or not it's helpful, I'm not sure. I mean, it's by nowhere near perfect, but I thought I'd give you a little sample of my version of drawing hands to see maybe if it helps or not. Or maybe you can offer advice, whatever helps. But for any beginners here, what advice I've always been given and the advice I would always give is if you want to learn how to draw hands, draw hands. Get your references, collect them all. I'm using this wonderful program called PureRef. What it does is it allows me to collect all my samples and references into one place, making it easier to look through them. So this is what I do. I find all the best ones I want to try and work from, collect them in a space, and then I can shrink it down to this nice little size, zoom in where I want, and bring it into a nice little corner so I can work from it. So let's start with the basic hand. Before you do anything complex, you've got to do something simple. There's definitely a better metaphor I can use here, but my brain's gone blank for it for the moment, so let's start with the beginning. Generally, when I start with a hand, there's always the basic shape. So you get the palm there, but then you start adding the circles, because remember, a hand is made up of different muscles and shapes, there's no one particular shape to draw it from. And depending on what hand it is, I tend to change it quite a lot. So you've got your base knuckles here. I sometimes have the bad habit of making this not even a knuckle at all, and I end up adding an extra knuckle along the hand at some point, so that's incorrect. And let's see, let's just get a few wee bits in here. So you have the basic skeletal hand shape, and if we look at this hand over here, there's curves. So we don't want, you know, your little turkey hand going on here. We want to try and get some better shapes into this part. So look at the hand, look at what you need to get. There's the bottom knuckle and there's 3 parts, so let's create those 3 parts. Don't worry about perfection. Don't worry about getting it exactly correct. Remember, you're experimenting, you're learning. I'm learning. The amount of times I've drawn hands and still can't get it right, the amount of times I've drawn the thumb on the wrong bloody sides. It's gonna happen. Perfection's difficult to achieve, and very few people can achieve it. But the only way to get better is to learn and keep trying. So there we go, we have a nice little shape of a hand there. Let's start getting some of these lines in. Try and emphasise some of the shapes in here. One thing my college lecturers used to always, not berate us, but remind us, was to focus on negative space. Often your negative space is a little more important than the actual shape itself, because that space helps to define what's going on in the image. A little bit of keyboard hotkey action here. So see, this one's got to be a little bit taller than that. One thing I'm usually seeing quite a lot... Oh dear, this wants me to save right now. I'll save you later. Oh, excuse me. So one thing that I see in quite a few tutorials, and I'm going to show you it here, is this handy little guide. It's the spans of your hand, the wingspan maybe. And it's just a nice little anatomical way of keeping yourself right. So trying to keeping your knuckles in place, whatever way your hand moves, there's a certain alignment that your knuckles are always going to do. I don't always go by this. I tend to play a lot of things just by eye. I eyeball a lot of it just to kind of see where it will go. But let's zoom back in here again. Let's get a nice clear image of what I'm doing. So let's get that. Yeah, here we go. Some more deep shapes in there. Get that wee bone bit in there. There we go. That's looking quite nice. And that one's a little bit smaller compared to it. Yeah, probably just a little bit more smaller than that. But that's a nice light blue. Let's try and get into some more definitive patterns. Let's increase the opacity here, shrink the brush so we can get some finer lines, and zoom in so we can get that nice detail. Bad habit I always have is zooming out a little bit too far and trying to draw things from far away, then wondering why I zoom in. It looks more sketchy than what it did when I was zoomed out. So, little tip from someone that always makes mistakes. Look closely at your art. Here we go. Always think about shape, think about ways you can make your hands a little more characteristic. What kind of hands does this person have? Are they working hands? Delicate hands? Are they soft? Do they do any sort of manual labour at all? Maybe's aye, maybe's no. But a hand should probably tell some kind of story. You can often tell what a person does just by the wear and tear that they have on themselves. Oh, so let's see here. A little bit too chubby there. So right there we can see that maybe I've not got the best gap in here. So we'll maybe erase that slightly. Again, we're not going for perfection, but let's just try and see how close I can maybe get to this. Try and recreate this person's hands. Let's get that thigh gap between those fingers. Yes, cat, I can see you staring at me. It's rather annoying. Please stop. Likes to stare at me when I'm busy deciding his next move. There we go. Some nice defined shapes in there. I'm not used to talking while I'm drawing. I feel like I might be rambling on too much at some points, or not rambling enough. Do people watch art videos for the commentary? I think I do sometimes. Especially if it's Draw with Jazz. I love listening to that guy talk. So there we go. Emphasising a little bit of shape in here, because remember, the thumb is such a separate part. I remember I used to have a how to draw manga book that described drawing the thumb as drawing a turkey leg or a chicken leg. So that's the way it used to describe it to me, which is kind of ridiculous, but I still sometimes use that. But there's so many bones and other things going on here that it's just like, no, you can't narrow a hand down to, you can't narrow a thumb down, just a turkey leg. Like, it does not work that way. It does not, darling. It cannot happen. Back to the bones. So we've got a nice wee line in here. Get that palm in there. Doing all these extra lines helps just to create depth, unless you're going for simplifying, in which case less lines might be better, but it might just depend. You'll find your own wee style as you go along. But there we go, a nice little blue hand. Hi! It's nice to see you. Let's try some of the other ones. We'll do a basic little clenched fist here. Again, zooming quite far away, but it helps my eyes to see things a little bit better. So we'll start with a similar thing we did here, because it is almost the same, except we're moving the fingers. Apologies if there's a little bit of a lag. My computer does not like to record multiple things at the one time. Doesn't like recording a screen and an audio. So let's see, yeah, here we go. We've got some thick muscles down here, we've got the knuckles there. Now, where this line is, focus on that as your basic shape. Instead of worrying where all the knuckles are going to go, where you're going to line all the fingers, look at where everything is aligned. So the knuckles are going down the way, the fingers are going down the way. Follow that. Your thumb, how far is it going up? You've got one kind of knuckle sitting there, you've got another sitting up here before it reaches the second knuckle, kind of roughly around the same area. So your thumb isn't going to go too high past this palm, sort of reaches this area over here. Here we go. We have a line down there, kind of coming over the palm. So we'll draw the base knuckle and the base part of the finger down here. We'll get those lined down. Now you see where I've kind of made a mistake here? I've maybe made these a little bit too big, and now the hand is maybe a bit too small for it, but we'll work with it. Because remember, it's not perfect. So let's just get a little bit of a darker pen here so you can see what I'm doing. So let's see here, we've got that part there, that top knuckle up there, and we're coming downwards. Let's draw these nice chunky fingers, and we'll squash the hand out a little bit. There wasn't too much of a difference, and remember, flesh moves. So here we go, we've got that finger here, and a little bit of foreshortening there on that one. It's kind of where the tricky part can come in with hands sometimes, trying to create the depth in them. Get that thumb in there. Now see how quickly you can go from a basic hand to something just with a slight difference, and it maybe isn't the best looking thing so far? Definitely not one of my best hands I've ever seen, but we can fix it. Let's just get a nice low opacity eraser brush, increase the size a little bit. Tone it down, and then let's zoom in and get those details. Now let's zoom in on this hand a little bit, just so I can get a clearer picture of what I'm doing. So let's start with the thumb, since that seems to be almost the base. I think I've been saying base a lot in this video, but this will be your centre point. At least it's my centre point. So got the knuckle going there, wee thumb coming up here. Let's get a little bit of that nail going. So finger's going to come out around here. Draw the nail in, see if that helps you to create that depth that you're looking for, get the shape right. Helps me sometimes. Sometimes you think of that whole end of the finger as the nail, and it's not. It's just part of it. There we go. Big chubby fingers. Then we'll get that thumb coming down in here. And then we'll create the lines of the finger in there. Again, just to try and emphasize where it's bending, where the flesh is moving. And then we'll get this one added in. Some shadows in there. Now, that's it. And just continue on with there. See, it's already starting to look a little bit better. Get that curve in there. try to really get where the fingers are moving. So in danger of going a little bit too straight here, but remember they're curving in, so always focus on where the dark shades parts are going. Easy to miss out the details that really create the shape of an object or the direction it's going. Maybe that's why the hand looked a little bit too narrow before. I made everything too straight. So here we go. Got that line going there. Yep, knuckles up too high there, so let's lower that down. Yeah, here we go. Much smaller, much more anatomically correct. Got little squidgy parts here. And then let's see, where's this line? So that should definitely be coming out down here. Straighten that out, curl it down, move around here, and there we have a wrist. Now, see, this finger here looks a lot bigger than it should compared to these ones. I think these ones are okay, this one definitely needs fixed, so let's tidy that up a little bit. Definitely shouldn't be up that high, the nail's like a lot further down. There we go, that's looking a little more correct now. It probably seems a lot bigger because of all these shadows. So let's add those in there just to maybe see where I'm going wrong. There we go. A little bit of shadow in there, nice and tidy. Messy tidy. Messy tidy's more like it. But there we go. See, look at that. Already looking a lot more structured. A lot more like a hand. A lot more like... A lot more attractive than what it was before. Let's try going for something a little bit more complicated to end the video off. I think maybe do a speed run of some of these hands, just so that you're not hearing me talking throughout the whole thing. Maybe a bit too slow for some people. Sometimes just watching a speedy video is a lot more satisfying when you're trying to learn how to draw something. So I'll just show you the process of a couple more hands, and then I'll maybe do a separate video of a speed run. Let me know if you prefer that, or if you would prefer a more detailed discussion of how to draw hands. But let's have a look at what I've got. Let's look at something that might be a little bit more fun to try. Again, more skeletal anatomy up here that I was quite fond of. What have we got? What have we got? Study cartoon hands as well, guys. If you ever want to really get hands done well, look at how animators draw them. This is Milt Kahl, one of the 9 animators of Disney. The 9 old men of Disney. Just a master at drawing hands. Gorgeous. Look at them. Most of them Merlin, but they're wonderful. Let's see, let's see, let's see, let's see. I think I would like to draw some of these ones. I like the shape of them. I like the shape of that one. Yes, I like that one especially. Well, let's start with the shape that it's currently around. Now there we go, I've already done a blunder. The shape of that stick is not at that angle, so let's correct it. Over here slightly. Here we... Yeah, we'll keep it to the centre, it makes it easier for me to see. Let's do a little zoomy. And let's get some light blue. Brush, please. Okay, so we have the knuckles here. Palm kind of comes around there, so we'll start with that part there, since that's almost the closest part to this sort of staff. Let me see, so we're coming up here, we've got a knuckle there. I want to get that nice curvature going. Follow the lines of the bones. Follow the knuckles. Sometimes circling where your knuckles are helps to keep you in track of everything. Maybe do it in a different colour, that might actually be a bit more useful. Yeah, so we've got a knuckle here. That knuckle's kind of hidden down here behind this one. Then we have a knuckle just there, where that one comes out. Then we have another one down there. Again, you know, look at where they're lined up. They have that shape, they have the shape going. Helps keep you together. Not always, again, to be fair, a lot of the time I do eyeball hands. I don't always go for the anatomy structure, which I probably should do, because it might save me from a lot of mistakes that I've made while drawing something. But then sometimes it's nice to see how far you can push yourself without using a reference or without going through your whole anatomical process. Like when you're first drawing a face and you're going through that whole draw the cross bit, and then you're trying to get everything correct and anatomically placed. And then when you start to draw it, it looks so dull and lifeless. Sometimes not going for the perfect approach makes everything far more appealing to look at. Depends on where you're coming from. I was having a discussion with someone at work today, and she doesn't consider herself an artist, but that doesn't mean she's not entitled to an opinion, and I quite welcome an opinion from someone that doesn't really consider themselves an artist. It's nice to get that perspective. And she was saying how she just much prefers art that looks like what she can already see. So when you get those very realistic landscape portraits, or someone that can create realistic skin in a painting, get all the right colours in there, nothing abstract or over extravagant, you know, like when you get those lovely paintings that mix in blues and purples and greens within the skin, it really brightens it up. She probably would still like that as well, but what her basic gist was that she likes to see paintings that look like what she can already see, so portraits, landscapes, that type of thing. And I found it interesting because when you ask an art student what is art, they will tell you art is whatever you want it to be. Art can definitely be your own doodles. It can be painting on a rock. It can be a landscape picture. It can be knitting, cross-stitching. Art is a form of expression. There should never be a defined... There should not be a definition of what is art. Then again, I guess I just have given a definition, as in it's a form of expression. There shouldn't be a restrictive definition of art. Art is not one thing, art is not another thing. Art is a collective. But when I tried explaining, I tried giving her an example of, okay, there was a point where people did draw very realistically, and then Impressionism came along, and suddenly a lot of what everyone believed to be art was thrown out the window. Claude Monet came along, introduced Impressionistic art, and this was when brushstrokes could not be seen. It was a big deal. It was just the way the art world was. It was just seen as improper and untidy to have brushstrokes. At least this is the impression I've been given. But I'm such a jokester. Art joke. Ugh, terrible. Anywho, but apparently that was the big thing, just to not show your brushwork. Impressionism came along, and it was nothing but brushstrokes. That was the point of it. You had to see the brushstrokes, the dabs, the splats, all these things that when looked up really close were nothing but a mess. But once you stepped away from it, you saw an incredibly detailed piece. It just depends on how you looked at it. She didn't know too much about Impressionism. When I explained that to her, she could still appreciate it. She could definitely appreciate the art definitely comes in many variety of forms, but she still preferred her own take on it. And I don't know, I just found it interesting, considering I'm so used to being around art students who have all their own different skills and the things that they enjoy doing and what they interpret as art. But again, a lot of art students all seem to be in the same collective of art can be anything. You get plenty of people that maybe won't consider a piece of cross stitch that you would find at a craft fair artwork, but I do. A lot of work went into that. Someone took the time, someone took the time to hone a craft. Granted, it is cross stitching, maybe you're following a pattern, but it still takes time. It takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of passion to do something that nice. You're creating something that is aesthetically pleasing. Is that not art? So I quite enjoy it. This hand is starting to look rather lovely. I'm quite enjoying it. Let's get those knuckles in there. I'm always bad for forgetting knuckles sometimes. I really do need to draw more things that have knuckles just so I can get better at them. I tend to leave them out of my little fan art pieces whenever I'm drawing hands. Mostly because I get nervous about drawing them, I was worried about drawing in the wrong place, but then this is why you practice, everybody. This is so you can get better at it. Until one day you're drawing a hand and you're not even thinking about, oh, where does it go? It just happens. There we go. We've got some nice little curves there. Get a fingernail in there. I think there's a couple of fingernails going on there. Picture's quite blurry, a little difficult to see. It's not YouTube being funny or anything like that, or it's not my screen, it's just that it's a low resolution picture taken from Google, so it is not in any way a very high resolution picture. A lot of these images can be found when you type them into Google. Definitely tons on DeviantArt as well. I always try to go for the ones that are free, you know, because I don't want to be using reference art that someone's taken the time to create and they want you to pay for it, because they put a lot of effort into making a nice package for you. So I do try to buy a handful when I can. So I'm under the impression that this one I've got right here is free. If it's not, I do apologise, and I will try to be more careful in the future about where I get my resources. Here we go. Yeah, I think this is definitely a little bit bigger. There we are. Put some shading in there. The lag doesn't seem to be as bad at the moment, just seems to happen a little bit more if I try to do more dynamic, bold brush strokes. But then again, that's always been the case with me in Photoshop. My computer's never been able to handle it too well. I need to upgrade those graphics cards, I really do. But they're so expensive. There we go. There we go, that's quite a nice wee detailed hand. I'm quite happy with that one. I've always liked the art where you can see the artist's structure underneath. But maybe let's try one that's a little more clean. So we'll do a sketch layer. We'll do two separate layers. We'll get a nice sketch layer going, and then we'll do a dark outline on top to try and see it in a more clean state. So let's get one more hand done. Well, we are kind of approaching onto the half-hour mark here, actually. Oh my gosh, we've been going on for a while. Oh, I talked for far too long. We'll get one more hand done, guys, and we'll try and make it a nice quickie one. Let's see. I think I like. Supposed to go for a simple one. Let's go for victory. Oh my goodness, that's far too blurred. But then, you know what? Let's stick with it. Let's stick with a very simplified image. So let's get a nice ball here for the fist. Let's structure this bad boy up. Let's see, got some knuckles up here, knuckles everywhere. We've got the thumb kind of poking out here, coming across this end. Give us a nice big thumb. Big Hero Academia thumb. Love the hands in Hero Academia. I really want to just re-watch the entire anime and draw nothing but the hands of those characters. I love how much detail goes into them. Okay, so let's angle that one a bit more. Get the hand coming out a little bit. Here we go. It's a nice little sketch layer. And just emphasize where some parts are going here. That way the final line work knows where it's going. Yeah, here we go. You're coming under there. So you know that I'm kind of speed drawing some of this, definitely some of the rules that I used before have sort of flown out the window. This guy's got a really huge finger, by the way. Looks almost unreal. There we go. Isn't that looking cute? Get some fingernails down there. Emphasize a little bit here. There's definitely a name for this part. The ball of the hand, I guess. I should look up the actual anatomical name for parts of the hand. That maybe I can describe them a little bit better. Now, let's lower the opacity for this. And we'll go into a nice new layer, give it a nice black line. And then we'll make it nice and tidy for ending the video off. Well, as tidy as I can manage. Help if I maybe had full opacity for that one there. There we go. Again, you can see some lag approaching in here. This is something I'm definitely going to have to try and fix, although maybe it won't show up in the video. And if it does, again, I apologise. I'm working with the best with what I have. And you can still more or less see what's going on. Let's get some bulge in there, give it a bit more shape. And then here we go. So we know that our knuckle's kind of coming down here, so let's just kind of emphasise that a little bit. And get the fingernail going. And then here we go. Little tiny pinky. Tidy up a little bit in there. Sometimes to really make your stuff look a lot more professional, or just make it look a lot more complete, is to give it some nice thick outer lines, but this is often like a personal decision. Get my line work isn't neatest here because I keep getting a few brush lags. But I've always liked nice thick black lines surrounding a piece that I've done, at least anatomy wise. I think it just helps to hide those little edge mistakes, make everything look a lot more bold. It also means when you start shading in some of the darker parts, it doesn't look too off, it looks part of the piece. Lower that down a little bit, it's a bit too big. Let's see, let's fix that a little bit. Yeah, here we go, I like that a bit more. And there we go, if we turn off that layer, we have we outlined hand. Again, maybe not my neatest work here, but I still quite like it. And hey, look at that. It's 4 more hands today than what I had at the start of the day. And you'll always get better the more you draw. Anyway guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would prefer a speed run of some more hands, let me know. Or if you would rather see more detailed, slow style, let me know. Maybe I'll upload both and just see which, that way everyone's got a bit of a variety to choose from. But thank you for being here. This is the Roaring Rar. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell to be alerted for when new videos are arriving. And thank you. Take care.